Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the black kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
On June 12th,
Are these really necessary?
Only if we crash.
Harrison Ford
Mayday, mayday.
hits the beach.
What are we, like shipwrecked?
But this trip to paradise
We got company.
is no vacation.
I just want one thing to go right.
From director Ivan Reitman comes the ultimate summer escape.
1, 2.
I can't!
6 days, 7 nights. Rated PG-13. Escape June 12th.
I'm getting angry, Steve. Welcome, everybody, to the newest episode of Happened in the 90s. This is a very intense Matt G. Here with Steve G. How you doing, Steve?
What are you mad about, Matt? Let's get to that.
Well,
You know what really grinds my gears?
I'm getting sick of movie critics or whatever these people are, and the critique of movies that I'm being told are bad it's not what I want it to be. I remember like a Siskel and Ebert movie doesn't make sense. Movie's too long. Movie's plot, whatever. There was an actual critique. I was watching a video and the video ends with this fucking person. I'm not even going to say it. I don't want to start beefs on the internet, but it's basically his review was this movie's terrible, but his reason was that it wasn't what he thought it was going to be, which it's like, is that a critique, Steve? Is that allowed? Because it's like, if Superman doesn't show up, you're like, man, I thought Superman was going to be in this movie, and then he doesn't show up. It's like, is that the reason the movie's bad?
Yes.
What?
If it's called Superman, yes.
But if it's not, like, if it's not, it's like people like I'm just going to use this as an example. Remember when they did Avengers and it was like split in two? And there was like a cliffhanger. People were like, oh, this is going to happen. Or this guy's going to show up. It usually happens in a comic book movie. But when it didn't, or if it didn't happen in the way that the person reviewing the movie thought it should, it's like a negative critique and it makes you not want to watch it. Or it's like you've spent time listening to this. I'm just saying I don't like that. And that grinds my gears, Steve.
It's like critics can be like the biggest armchair directors. Like, I get it. Like, we're critics.
Yeah.
And like, we've gotten that criticism. It's like, oh, at least Sandra Bullock is making movies. And that's what some motherfucker said to me. And I'm like, well, dude, her movies suck. And like, you're doing art and it sucks. Like, people like me will say it sucks. And sometimes on a podcast.
That's what podcasts are usually about. And we don't mean to do that, but there's a lot of things in the 90s that suck. Like most of Sandra Bullock's movies. Steve, I gotta say, I'm into the net a little bit. I'm coming back on the net. And I think we need to do a rewatch on that together at some point just to make sure that we're both on the same page on it. But that's neither here nor there. Also, Steve, just really quickly, I just want to like say this and get it out. My wife made me go see the Little Mermaid movie. I liked it, and I almost cried at the end of it. And I'm sorry, as a man, I don't mean to admit things like that, but it happened. And it wasn't really, actually, I was surprised. It was well done, except for the crab.
So it's better than Lion King.
I didn't even see it.
Oh.
I didn't see it, but this one, I mean, the chick's great. Dude, I mean, it's just some handsome white dude, so I don't know what you want, but
she kind of looks like a mermaid in the face.
She looks good, dude. And she's like, I mean, if she's singing the shit, I'm assuming she is, like, she's fucking belting that shit out. She did good.
She kind of has a fish face. She's cute, but she kind of has like, it's like, well, so it works.
And she has a twin, if I'm not mistaken.
They're not twins, but they're sisters. They're both gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like, I'm no Idris myself, but fuck, I'm just saying, man, I saw a screenshot of the movie. It's like, yeah, she's kind of, I don't know.
And something weird that I forgot is a plot point, but maybe it's just because I'm an adult. Like, part of this movie is she gives up her mermaidness and her voice, and she has to have like a real kiss and fall in love with this prince dude in order for this curse not to happen, right? So most of
Okay.
this movie is her, she gets her mind wiped, so she doesn't know that that's part of this, right? And
Bill
these
Cosby.
her exactly, and her friends, the crab and the fish, know about it. So they're all the time trying to push this chick into fucking this whole movie. They're like, "Oh, you have to kiss him." There's a song called "Kiss the Girl" that's
Kiss that girl.
literally it's them trying to get him to fuck, Steve. And I know it's playful, it's Disney, but that's the gist of the song. And I'm just saying, kind of weird, kind of fucking weird for a movie that had a full penis on the original cover. We all remember that from the '90s. Maybe I can find a screenshot if they haven't
I'm
wiped the
sh-
internet, but
I'm sure it's available.
this movie's
And
erotic. It's weird.
I mean, the cartoon was full of sexual innuendo. So yeah, it's only fitting. I'll check it
Kiss
out.
the girl. Yeah, I mean, surprisingly, I don't like that they are just going, hey, instead of writing some cool new thing for everybody to like, we're just going to make cool, like a CG version of the old shit. It doesn't, to me, like Aladdin sucked, which is probably why I never saw The Lion King. It didn't need it. And it would probably
Lion
be more,
King.
it seemed like it would be terrifying.
It was National Geographic with Childish Gambino and Beyonce doing like narration.
Okay. So I'm glad I missed that. But this one, it is what it is. And it happened in the 90s and now they CG'd it up and they didn't fuck it up. So, congratulations.
And I actually saw White Man Can't Jump, the remake, and that actually wasn't bad. It didn't go as I expected. What did the critic that you hate say? The movie didn't perform as I anticipated.
So, but you're saying that this is actually not it's good.
Yeah, I came into it with a low bar, and
Okay.
it gave me more than what I expected because I guess I didn't set it up for failure.
Can
You
I
know,
just
I
ask this though, Steve? Spoiler alert. If does Wesley, does Woody, do they
no
show up?
no
Are
they're
they
not showing up for
mentioned? Are
this.
these are
No
they okay. All right.
no.
Then I'm into it. I'm into it a little bit more. I wanted them to get paid and I'm sure they did. Just because they're using the names or whatever. Maybe they didn't, but it's weird. I expected a fully like completely just negative blast off. And now I'm intrigued. I think I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna watch it.
They
It's
had
free, right?
it's on Hulu,
Yeah, well I pay
but
for that.
yeah, and if you didn't have Hulu, I can find it for you. Jack Harlow, he did a good job, man. They didn't want to attach themselves too close to the original because you shouldn't. Just the name alone, we get it. The side bit characters, the purpose that Kadeem Hardison played back in the day, we go and see Isla. They did have that line in there, which is
Okay.
like okay, a little nod to the original, but back off. Don't get too close. They had that same kind of cantankerous relationship where Jack Harlow's character, just like Woody Harrelson, he's talking shit and he's pissing off his teammate and he's like, dude, what the fuck, man? Like, but it works. They're kicking ass. They're doing these pickup games. They're doing the tournament. I liked it, man. It's worth watching at least once. And I like to give all of these remakes a shot. But House Party, I gotta keep you over there, all the way the fuck over there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna watch it, Steve. I'm watching White Men Can't Jump. Now, one other question, just because it's a memorable moment to me from the Ridge. Side titty, in or out in this newer version? Is there a side titty shot?
You, I don't believe you get side titty. I don't, but you get Tiana Taylor. She is the guy who's playing Wesley Snipes' character. That's his lady,
Mm,
and the chick that Jack Harlow is with. She's cute. I can't call her name, but yeah, get that.
all right. Tiana Taylor's dope. That's a nice piece of candy. So, White Man Can't Jump remake. Who knew these? We just talked about two remakes, Steve. Unexpectedly positive reviews from happened in the '90s. So, just a just an ardent thumbs up on both of those. From I guess one of us, and I'm gonna check out White Man Can't Jump. You check out Little Mermaid and let me know what you think.
Vice versa.
Stay tuned for Late Night. My guests are Rosie O'Donnell, from Seinfeld, Patrick Puddy, Warburton, and comedian Dave Attell. Watch as we reveal the plot of the final Seinfeld.
Well, hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Mad G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your Ninja Turtle cereal and your Legend of Zelda cartridges, because I know for sure that life is beautiful around the world. And I know it's you. You say you love me and I say I do.
Ring ding dong dong ding ding dong dong ding ding. You know the record exec was just like, damn, what the fuck did we just pay for? What was that? Ring dang, write that down on a piece of paper for me real quick.
I thought y'all stopped doing heroin.
Flea, you're naked. I can't ever tell with you. Are you on it? I'm sober as hell, man.
Fucking love Flea. and like that song, that album is a fucking banger. I still sing that part. Bang, 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 bang. I don't know what it's supposed to mean, but that shit go hard. And Anthony Kiedis is my shit.
What is that? What is like scatting? It's not the right term, but
maybe he does some scat. I mean, if Red Hot, they're funk influence. They might get some jazz in there. I could see Flea being a jazz aficionado or jazz enthusiast.
No, ring dang don don ding dang don dong ding dang, Steve. Just a resounding, just sing it from the rooftops. I think everyone that grew like our age knows that. Like even if you don't know the other words, when that part comes, a building of people our age would collectively be able to say that perfectly.
Well, today, my friend, we're talking about all things June 8th. In the 90s, Matt. Starting off in 1990, another 48 Hours premieres. Jack Cates once again enlists the aid of ex-con Reggie Hammond, this time to take down the Iceman, a ruthless drug lord operating in the San Francisco Bay Area. Directed by Walter Hill, starring Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte.
God damn it. What the hell are you thinking?
Another 48 hours.
I love that that's what it's called. It's just another 48 hours. We just fuck it.
Is Eddie available? All right, let's get him on the bill again.
Nick's passed out. He was passed out in the last set. We thought he was dead. He woke up. We're gonna make another movie, so
and shout out to the appearances by Bernie Casey and Tisha Campbell. This was before the Martin show had even premiered. She had just dropped House Party. And Tisha Campbell, man, I know we've talked about her quite a few times, man, but we're talking about her again. God damn it. And Tisha Campbell, yeah, I don't know if she was Eddie's chick in this, but she was one of the bartenders, I believe, where everything got shot up, and they just had one of those click click boom scenes. But she had some screen time. And I don't know, have you seen this movie?
I mean, I definitely have seen it, parts of it, if not all of it, in completion at one point or another. But I don't know which is which. I don't know if this is 48 hours or another 48 hours. They run together. And I think I'm conflating some Beverly Hills Cop as well into some of this, unfortunately. And that's no disrespect. I mean, these movies were dope.
This one wasn't. And I love Eddie. But this was kind of the beginning of his shitty run in the beginning of the 90s. He did this. Boomerang was good. I like Boomerang. I don't know
talk any shit about that. Weirdly enough, I think we watched that together at some point, or like all of us
early.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
but it's a good one, dude, and that's a good date movie also.
Distinguished,
weird, kind of sexual,
Can I finish? Can I finish, man? Distinguished Gentleman. He did some shitty movies around this time. This was kind of the beginning, but like they were panicking when Total Recall came out, man. Arnold, he had everybody running. Running for the Hills. It came out a week before, and so they cut out a lot of the original cut, man. And the guy that was playing the boss, like the loud talking one in 48 Hours, that was just the former football player. He was known for that because I think he was in the Loaded Weapon with Samuel Jackson and Emilio, and he played that same role. Just that, get the fuck, what are you doing? Like, well, they cut him out completely. His role was in the movie, but he's only showing up in the background like one time.
Goddamn Winston McCop, you lost a stolen bus. I got 5 deaths related to gas and you blood.
I wonder why that happened. Like, why cut the movie up if you're just put it out? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't get that decision, but I guess Arnold just had everybody all fucked up.
He had everybody on that demon time, man. Like, we had shit, man. We gotta run for the hills now. We gotta do this right.
Damn it, Arnold's coming out with a goddamn movie. Hand me that goddamn crack pipe.
But man, the star power changed around this time because when 48 Hours came out in the 80s, Nick Nolte was the bigger star at that time. So he had top billing. It was Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy. Fast forward to 1990, another 48 Hours. Eddie Murphy's paycheck was $450,000 for the first one, and Nick Nolte's was $1 million. The sequel, Nick Nolte got $3 million. Eddie got $7 million.
God damn, $3 million for the Nolte. You still got $3 million?
He still got $3 million.
I mean, 48 Hours was a huge fucking movie. So, man, it is weird though. That is kind of weird. But I mean, Nick Nolte was he always on fucking drugs, Steve? Was that his, like, or did it start in the night? Was it like Blue Chips?
I thought that
hit of some good ass weed and it just like took him out of commish, or what happened here?
I didn't know he was a drug guy. I always confused him with.
What happened to him though? Because he like was arrested a lot. Like when we were in college, like I always remember and then he just like physically just turned into this weird, not handsome. I don't know what to call him. He's not. I'm not gonna call him man ugly, but
Was it drugs or drinking, or both?
I mean, tomato. I feel like that's both. If you're drinking that much and it's degrading the 48 Hours Nick Nolte to what he is now, yeah. I mean, you're doing something. You're doing a lot.
In that following year, 1991, Clarissa Explains It All is airing the episode Cool Dad. Marshall is invited to speak at Clarissa's school's career night, which she finds embarrassing. Clarissa tries to convince him not to go, unsuccessfully. Marshall decides to become cool to fit in.
Marshall, don't do it. You can't be cool. Learn your lesson.
Yeah. Your cool days never existed, sir. Here's your boy.
My boy, don't ask him about this. You get he might throw 5 across your chops.
Don't talk to me about that fucking show.
I'm a thespian. I'm more than Marshall fucking whatever the fuck her last name is.
Marshall Darling.
Give me that club sandwich and get the fuck out of my way, PA boy. That's not what he was like. He was genuinely nice, but he didn't like
this soda's too fizzy.
Yeah. We get another Clarissa, Steve. We get a lot of. I like this one. We get all the things we like, but going heavy on the dad. I was a little worried, but once we get to the end, I feel like it pays off. I mean, there's a moment at the end of this where, I mean, everybody involved should be mortified, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
And Clarissa's cringing. She's talking about the great moments in humiliation of the classmates she's had in the past, being embarrassed by their parents. Of course, there's getting underwear on her birthday gift. That was humiliating. Her teacher had her read The Loneliest Tree in the Yard poem. And her dad, her embarrassing dad, is invited to speak on career night. And Clarissa, she's going to start her career as an orphan.
Yeah, she's about to hop a train out of town because this happened to me a lot where you're just worried, you don't want to get embarrassed by your parents. It happens. My parents were cool, but my parents were old school, like nerdy old school people. So invariably there was some ribbing in a career day situation that they're showing, that would have been a nightmare to me, Steve. A George Leroy up there just talking about data analytics for an hour, God forbid.
Snooze, man. And just like Marcy Stanford, her dad was a butcher. Now she's a cherry bum gum addict. Cherry bubble gum addict.
Cherry bum? I don't know what that's a different problem, Steve. But what about Bowser Batinsky? What
The
happened
the
to that
former
guy?
the former school bully, his dad sells scented candles, and now he's OCD for flowers. He's one of those PM Dawn kind of guys. And Dora Dillwinker, her mom's a school bus driver, and she's like the bus driver on South Park. Now Dora Dillwinker's got a nervous twitch.
These goddamn kids are fucking terrible.
I mean, honestly, that woman needed to be checked by the fucking parents because she was
Yeah.
going off on Mike. So, shame on her. But as always, Clarissa overblowing this. She's worried, but we've all been there. You overblow these things as a kid. So now she has to kind of figure out what to do here. Her dad is really into this idea, which again, she's got a good dad, but like why he's this into it, I'm not really sure, Steve. Because doesn't this guy have more like important shit to do as an architect?
Yeah, he's like a out there architect, man, but he wants to reach the children. He wants to touch the babies.
Pause. Legally,
And
their minds.
their minds, touch the babies mentally. And Sam's dad, this is one of the side things about this episode. There's this movie out called Teenage Mutant Cheerleaders 5, Pet Rally of Blood. And Sam's dad is raring to go. Sam's dad seems cool. He's a
Yeah.
sports writer. He allows his son to watch whatever the fuck, even the Scattervision things. But
And the homies seem to like him too, honestly, from what Sam says. They want him to hang out. They want his dad to hang out, and they ain't inviting him to the party. So I mean, that's gotta be a mind fuck. But he sounds cool to me. Fuck Sam. Let's hang out with his dad. That dude fucking probably parties, Steve.
and even Clarissa's like, you know what? You didn't have this problem. Your dad's a sports writer. He kicks it with Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson. Like, well, shit. He doesn't talk about boring building stuff.
Got
But
high
hey,
with Ken Griffey Jr. last week. Fucking, what are you worried about? So he's not. He's coming up in the on his ladder still. That's fucked up, and I still don't understand why the dad's cool with that. But he's trying to talk her off the ledge, but you can't do that. She's still spiraling. So we cut to the kitchen, and Ferguson, he's pouring it on, Steve. He's doing what I did when I wanted to see Wild Things. Just really giving a lot of compliments. He's got to see this movie, for a project, that's a great way to see a fucked up movie. I got to see this for a project. I like that, Ferguson. Salute.
it's a period piece.
But Ferguson, as always, he's a little cunt. And he actually wants to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Cheerleaders 5 Bloodbath of Puss, whatever it is. On Clarissa.
It's a period piece.
Perfect. Exactly. And Clarissa, being the asshole that she is, just completely just snitches on him immediately, which I don't respect that at all. That's fucked up.
Yeah, and now mom is making Ferguson read some Moby Dick. And that book is like forever and 11 days long.
I've never read that, Steve. You've never read that. You never read
Fuck
that.
no.
Hell no. Okay, thank you.
I'm cliff noting the fuck. If that was ever an assignment, I'm cliff noting the fuck out of that book.
Yeah, dude. But that's what I love, because this happened to me all a bunch. A lie gets you roped into some shit because you just you could have been honest. Maybe something would have happened. You might not have gotten what you wanted, but now he's lying and he's gotten roped into this bullshit of reading Moby Dick and his weird fucking mom, which there's some questionable shit going on. I think mentally there's something going on with this woman. She's talking to puppets and shit, but she's roped him into fucking basically like a volunteer book program, which I don't like. There's not even a pizza, like a personal pan pizza at the end of the rainbow.
a bucket sticker, nothing, man. And
Nothing.
you know, Marshall, he's grilling Clarissa about this damn career day, and he wants to know how long it's going to be. And she's just like, it's going to be really difficult, and it's like 15 seconds. And you got to speak in Latin. And he's just like going with the flow, like, well, I know a little Latin. I picked it up back in the day. And Sam comes back from Teenage Mutant Cheerleaders, and he says that he wasn't scared, but his dad is shook up. He's going to bed with the night lights on and whatnot.
I mean, what is going this? I want to see this movie because this seems like some sort of traumatizing shit. That a lot of people are getting touched by this, and we'll get to that. But Sam, he's not phased. I mean, he's comfortable with anything. A movie like that, breaking and entering, using a ladder into a girl's bedroom unexpectedly, anything. He's not phased. But he helps her to sort of come up with this plan to like scare her father into not wanting to do this speech. And I guess you can interpret that in whatever way you want, but Clarissa interprets that as dressing like a goth hooker and making it sound like school's some sort of weird Thunderdome situation where people are like banging their heads against the wall. I believe there's some kind of like other shit going on, but it sounds like BDSM high. It's crazy.
She walks down the stairs, dressed like 80 Cher and shit, and she tells her dad it's the new look. We all dress like this in high school. Don't you think the piercings I have are hating? Like, she comes up with her own vocab, like hating as a term of like cool, I guess. Yes,
like
they're
90,
hating,
dude. We did it too. You got to come up with it. She's going on the fly because she's gothing it up. And her dad, though, it's just like this guy. I mean, great 90s man, because anything that comes out of a woman's mouth, he's like, oh yeah, cool story. Anywho, this speech, Dad, I don't, Clarissa, sorry, hold on, man talking here. Like, it's a lot of that kind of energy, He's like, he doesn't hear it.
yeah. And she even tells him about the screamers in high school. We got these kids who are just obsessed with screaming at adults. It's like, man, these screamers, the head banging.
They're ripping their piercings out? That's amazing. She's like, wait, what the fuck? You kids are just different. So, I mean, again, she's trying everything she can to just tell this guy, don't come to this. Like, please don't do this.
X-nay on career day.
It. So now she's back in her room and she's going over options. You could hypnotize him, which she can make a video game about something immediately. So I think she could do that. But she's, option 1, hypnosis. Option 2, crazy glue his ass to the chair, which that's solid. And then the last one, and I mean, this is more, this is kind of questionable, but just get him arrested, Steve. Call the cops, maybe some child abuse, maybe some, something. Make up a crime, get the guy locked up for a couple of days. That's a sure winner if you can play it off,
But then you'd have that whole my dad is a felon thing that you got to live with. And it's
Clarissa,
my fault.
I am now I have to register as a sexual predator because you didn't want me to do this fucking speech. Sorry, Dad.
It was bound to happen. You like being around kids too much, and it just didn't sit well with me.
You named your child Ferguson. It was only a matter of time before you started diddling kids, Dad.
Only a matter of time. And your wife is weird. She has apologetic pedophile syndrome.
Yeah, dude. I mean, so cut after that, she's fucked up on the option. She can't figure out anything. So now she's like, I'm going to go to Mom. I did this all the time. Dad's not listening. I'm going to go to Mom. Mom, step in. Help me out here. So she's like, Mom, I don't want Dad to do this. And meanwhile, her mom's doing some sort of weird puppet show shit with a broccoli and some other shit.
Some milk carton.
She actually, in this conversation, kind of realizes herself, like, she's being what she hated as a child. She's like, my mom was so much older than me. She didn't understand me and like,
yeah.
Like, bitch, listen to what you're saying. So she realizes that. She says she's going to talk to the dad, and
it's too late.
It's going nuclear, Steve, because now Marshall, I mean, he's the things he's concocting as a person, it's like you don't realize that you're gonna traumatize this kid for the rest of their life. Like they're gonna have to get so much therapy because of these things.
And she's got this whole like dream in her head about him being like this monster and how he's going to ruin the day. Oh my God, not the turtleneck. He's polyester. He's cornball. He's dad that comes into Clarissa's room.
He's the dad from hell.
Hi, sport.
And so as we see behind Steve here, if you're listening, I'm gonna just explain. Her dad walks in trying to be cool, and I don't know where he got these like semi Geordie LaForge style like thin shades, but he looks
Max
like
Headroom.
somebody. He looks like he's blind or he's going to a 3D movie. One of the two. I don't know. It's bizarre.
Got any Gordon Lightfoot?
Yeah, and he starts saying like that old school, like when like white people in the 40s wanted to like, hey Jack, what's snapping, dog? Like he's doing shit like that. It's like, dude, just please. Hey Dad, don't do this. Hey, do you think that I should wear this like gold chain or a big ass clock around my chest? Which one? This guy can't figure it out, Steve.
Yo, Sam, what's the vibe?
What's snapping, Jack? Like, who are you? Are you in like a doo-wop group? Like, this is not how kids in the 90s talk, sir.
And Sam comes in there. He's thrown off by Marshall's presence. You know, he's not usually in there. And, you know, he's like, Clarissa, aren't we supposed to go rollerblading? And Marshall says, rollerblading? Is that a new razor? Like, he is so out of touch.
But then him and Sam start getting on a vibe, Steve. Because he's like, man, I remember kids used to make fun of me all the time. And, you know, Sam's like, me too. They never would invite me to stuff. Me too. And then this is just bizarre, though. Like, if my dad said this to anybody that I knew, I might physically assault him. But he's like, hey, Sam, you want to go buy some clothes that we never thought we'd wear? Like, dude, what is going on, Dad? What kind of midlife crisis are you having right now? What the fuck?
Clarissa is going nuts. Like, what the fuck? Like, you can't just leave to the mall with my friend. And
But
meanwhile,
he does,
Ferguson,
Steve.
yeah, and meanwhile, Ferguson is disguised in a beard with his fake ID in tow, and he's trying to see Teenage Mutant Cheerleaders. His mom checks him about his beard, and he was just like, you know, I wanted to just be more into the reading. I wanted to actually be the characters.
I mean, he looks like she's like, oh yes, you look like whatever. I forget who she says, but he does look like a Civil War era author, which I love that idea that he could get into a movie like that. Like, one for the horror movies, sir. Like, it's a very Little Rascals way to get into a movie.
It is so obvious this shit is strapped to the back of his head. Like,
but then hours later, Sam, Clarissa, and I'm trying to remember, like, aren't they? Oh wait, my bad. Sorry, Steve. So we cut back to the kitchen now, because now Sam and her dad her dad's taken a child without telling anybody to the mall to buy clothes, which is just bizarre in and of itself. So now we're back. Ferguson had the fake beard, and then Dad and Sam come back in, and I don't know where they got the outfits, Steve, if MC Hammer had some sort of an outlet store, but they are dressed like MC Hammer's backup dancers.
They hear the music, the mom and Clarissa, and they run into the living room, and they got a full-on routine. Not only are they dressed like Vanilla Ice Hammer, but like they have a whole dance routine.
And it's disgusting, Steve. I don't how Sam got roped into this. Dude, what are you doing, dude? Like, as Clarissa, don't ever hang out with this guy again, because there's some weird going on between him and your dad. Other than this weird, just like, yo, dog, I'm into architecture. And now
he's going to build your house. Yeah. I'm going to build a house. We gonna build a house. I love it. It's so early 90s, man. Yeah.
I mean, get this guy a commercial though, because remember Scuba Steve, the car radio guy from Toledo? Like this is on that vibe. You get this guy just like a weird like set with a couple of like boxes, a couple of weird dancers, little Gumby Gold. You're sold, dude. He's gonna build a house for you.
I gotta give it to Sam. He was holding it down on his end, man. His steps, they were on point. I'm not gonna lie. Marshall,
watching Marshall try to do choreographed hammer dancing or whatever that was, it's just painful, Steve. As an older white guy who's probably the same age as he is in this show, it's just disgusting, and I hate it.
And eventually Clarissa's just like, I can't take this. She comes clean and tells Marshall how she feels about all of this shit. And Marshall actually sees her side. But at the same time, Clarissa feels bad. So she was like, you know what, Dad, I know how much this meant to you. Yeah, you could still come. Fuck.
Thanks, sport. But, you know, clearly he's not going to do the hammer routine, which I feel like probably would go off better, though. Like, in a weird way. Like, you might give the guy props. Like, once he got to the end of it, you'd be like, well, the guy did it. You know, it's not like those people are like, don't do drugs, and they're in just like red t-shirts and stuff. Like, it's not.
Because those kids aren't going to listen to that anyways.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing drugs and watching that. But cut later that day, Clarissa and her dad get back, and the speech went great. He's dressed as a normal human being. He's got his little T-square thing that he's just really into, this fucking gigantic T-square that he has. And the speech went off great. The kids loved it. They asked great questions. And we think it's all going to wrap up nicely. But then random thing happens here. Steve, cops come knocking. Is Clarissa dealing drugs? No. Ferguson might be doing drugs, though, because he is shaking like Pookie. He's
oh man, the monkeys was talking to me, and then they put Jordans on the pit bulls, and then they was fondling each other's balls, eating jelly beans. West side, west side, east side,
Ferguson.
And they're gonna miss everybody. Whoa.
But Ferguson, the cops are like, hey, look, we're not gonna arrest this kid, but keep him away from the fucking multiplex till he turns 17, because this kid just watched Teenage Mutant Ninja hookers or cheerleaders or whatever it is, and he's all fucked up. So I want to see what turned a grown man into a nightlight sleeping man, and also Ferguson into a comatose, like, blah, 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 blah. I want to see that movie, Steve.
Yeah. Thank you. That shit, like, I don't know what was funnier, the MC Hammer routine or Ferguson returning home. Like, he was just like, I don't know.
Ferguson's going to need some kind of therapy, or maybe just a popper just to get him back into reality here. But that's it, Steve. I mean, Clarissa didn't have to make a video game. She really didn't need to do anything other than maybe tell her dad not to buy some MC Hammer pants. But even, I mean, he can go use those at his own will, though, at this point. And I'd like to see that episode.
She didn't even have to use her AK. Gotta say, it was a good day. But in 1992, New York Yankee pitcher Steve Howe is banned from baseball for the 7th time.
You get banned 7 times, Steve.
I don't get it. Like, I figure after 1 or 2, it's so like they don't have a 3 strikes and you're out rule. I mean,
I mean, plus 7. What were the first 6?
Man, he had substance abuse problems, man. He was plagued by alcohol and cocaine abuse. But the crazy thing was he actually had a successful career. Like, his rookie year, he won National League Rookie of the Year in 1980. The following year in 81, the Dodgers won the World Series. And then in 82, he was an all-star.
83, crack binge. Ban 1. 84, he's back.
And I feel like I've said this on this show before. If you lived in the 80s, hey, man, stay away from crack. Stay away from cocaine. Stay away from it, and you're good. You survived the 80s. Listen to some MJ. Watch some MJ. Watch some Tyson. Watch the Mikes. Listen to Ronald. Watch some Back to the Future. You survived.
Yeah, leave the white and the brown stuff alone. Powder wise, I mean, alcohol, go for it. We're still, even cigarettes, go for it. In the 80s, you're good. 90s, you're still good. Smoke some weed. Maybe do some poppers. I keep bringing those up. Throw those in the mix. I don't know.
Poppers, man. Let's bring it all out. The kitchen sink, shit, from under the kitchen sink. And Steve Howe is actually no longer with us, man. He passed away April 28 in 2006. His pickup truck rolled over in Coachella, California. And the toxicology report said that he had methamphetamine in his system.
God damn, this motherfucker died partying? God damn. Steve
48
Howe.
years old.
He might not be. Is he in the Hall of Fame? Obviously not. He was banned.
No way.
So
no.
he's in my Hall of Fame, Steve. Him, Pete Rose, fucking, I don't know. Throw Barry Bonds in there too if he's not.
Yeah. And Rafael Palmeiro. Why not? Why are you laughing, man? You can't be laughing at his.
Your reaction was just great. You're just like, yeah. Yeah, like that was a valid point at all. I'm just spouting nonsense, so I appreciate
all
it.
of them. Hey, they should be though, because like all of those guys that you named, they were all stars and all Hall of Fame worthy before the whole like PED scandal. Barry, of course,
all that should be anybody with the steroid stink on them. Throw them in the Hall of Fame because it made baseball watchable. Like it was amazing to watch.
It's just unfortunate that like those same guys are the ones caught up, and it makes the argument hard. But I agree with you, man. In '93, June 8th, RuPaul released Supermodel of the World, and I remember this because of the video that was on MTV and Box. You better work. Turn to the left, work, turn to the right, do your thing and make love to the camera, work, cover girl, work, something, do your thing and make. I don't know. I just remember that was the hook though. And like, it's crazy. Like RuPaul has been around this like long, bro, like 93 when this came out. I don't know. Like if she had a following before this.
She had to. She made an album. Like, so she was like, she had to have been famous in the 80s at some point. And now she has, I mean, my wife is infatuated with all the drag race shows. Exactly. And there's like 70 shows. So this person, RuPaul, I mean, has to have billions of dollars or close.
And like that show is heavily syndicated, so like I don't know how those checks work or how they roll out, man, but being around this long, and this was years before the drag race stuff, man.
So, I mean, icon, and like this RuPaul like was famous in the 90s, and there was no like, it wasn't like, oh, that's weird. It was like, that's RuPaul. Like even young 90s kids were like, oh, that's RuPaul. It wasn't like, we weren't saying fucked up shit like most of the time. You know what I'm saying? Like there was some respect that RuPaul had, and it's crazy. Like even then, I'm sure there was money and success associated with that. But if you would have told any, like even probably RuPaul at the time, like you're going to have a show with your name on it in 30 different countries and your face is going to be like, I don't even think that she would have foresaw that success. And
you're going to host SNL,
and be good at it. Killed that. I thought she did great. Yeah, it was fun. But this song though, work. I mean, I want to fucking work right now, Steve. I'm gonna start fucking voguing. Work, cover girl, Steve. We're just gonna start. This is a RuPaul fan club, I guess. But shout out to RuPaul because I mean, can I just have like. Just give me like a percentage of one check you get. Just 1%, please.
Well, hey, Matt, you better work. In 1995, June 8th.
Dude, I got this new light. I'm feeling so fucking glamorous right now, Steve.
She's so gold dust, like fucking superstar. 100 Karat Gold Productions. In 1995, Beavis and Butthead is airing season 5, episode 29. Pregnant. Pause. Thanks to idiocy and something he saw on TV, Beavis thinks he's pregnant.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, Steve, you fucked me up. I got drink coming out my nose, but very simple premise here, Steve. Beavis, as we all know, is probably clinically mentally handicapped, retarded, whatever you want to call it. He sees something about pregnancy, and because he has to take a fat shit, he thinks for the bigger part of this episode that he's pregnant, and hilarity ensues.
Yeah, they were spending the whole night watching music videos as they do, and it's morning now, and Beavis, he's still smashing on his gas station nachos. Butthead is passed out. And like you said, man, they see this commercial for pregnancy, and the lady in the pregnancy commercial, she's craving for nachos, and he sees this as he's eating his, and he's just like, ah.
I love the intensity of the woman giving birth though in the one video, and she's like, "You goddamn gonna!" Like, yeah. I've been there taking a fat shit, so I'm not saying that's pregnancy, but that was what we were hearing, and the noises. I was sitting there laughing because I'm writing the notes down on that episode. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So yeah, Beavis starts spiraling at this point.
Already,
he's got bubbly guts. And, he obviously doesn't understand how pregnancy works. But quick question before we get into anything else, Steve. How are they subsisting? I know this is a dumb, I like to dig in on details that don't really matter. Where are they getting the financials to be just like eat?
They're latchkey kids. Like most of us in the 80s and 90s, like parents are at work. Okay. So they leave behind, hey, here's $20 for doing chores. I don't think these guys were doing chores. They were, yeah. But they just had those parents. I had friends like that, like, damn, you don't do shit. Your parents always leaving you money. Like, it's not like they were rich. They were just not properly trained.
Yeah, they're not gonna end up being great adults. But Beavis, he might be in his first term. We don't know at this point. Somehow might be having a butt baby, but we got to cut to a music video, and we do. And this first one, I didn't clock the name of the band, but it's a great description to say that the video looks like the inside of a butt, because that's what Beavis says, and it really does.
This is Wilma's Rainbow by Helmet.
Okay, great. It's Wilma's Rainbow by Helmet, and it looks like the inside of a big old butt, Steve.
But they give their expressions when they're talking to a chick. This is what I look like when I'm talking to a chick.
Well, because the video, it has a lot of different expressions. The guy, like, they start putting faces everywhere, and Beavis is like, too many expressions. I hate that. It's stupid. And then Beavis and Butthead are like, you only need a couple expressions. And, they go through like 10, which isn't a couple, but they're right. There's a couple lock solid ones in there, like the O face, Steve, the O face.
This is my look.
This is my look.
That's a winner.
So, video done. They got to go pick some stuff up at the gas station. So Beavis, he's still spiraling. He's thinking he's pregnant. His guts are still bubbling, but they're, maybe think about buying something other than some gas station nachos. Maybe a salad, but they're not there yet. And while Beavis is shopping, there's some pregnant ladies out there talking about different stuff, cravings. He's having different cravings. That's weird.
Hey, Butthead, those women got pregnant, right? Oh, yeah. They had to, do it, right? Yeah. They did it. Oh, yeah. I knew that. I was just testing you and stuff.
And, I forget, I think they're talking about buying a pregnancy test. Butthead also says that Beavis looks pregnant, and that makes him, freak out. And then we come back to the house. Butthead's watching some TV. Beavis is just in the bathroom, and we don't know what's going on until we cut in, and Beavis is taking a pregnancy test, Steve.
and he's peeing on the test. It's yellow. Yeah.
Please don't turn. He thinks turning her color is gonna mean he's pregnant. So it went from white to yellow because he took a piss on it. Well, duh, genius, you're pregnant, I guess. So he thinks he's pregnant. He's like, no, it's a reaction, Steve.
And he comes back to the couch and they're watching another like pregnancy promo, and he's like, so you have to like watch Barney and stuff, so you never get to watch anything cool. Having babies suck.
And then turn on the next video, Steve, and I mean, I don't know what to classify this. I didn't even know MTV aired this, but Yanni's on MTV, Steve.
Majestical
Yanni!
man. Magical sex act. Poof.
What?
There's my
like,
penis.
what was it? Does he have? There's no lyrics in this video, Steve. It's just him sexually just looking around, like.
It's just.
I mean, who's more sexual, Steve? Kenny G, Michael Bolton, Michael B, or Yanni?
Bolton got the edge because he's singing.
Okay.
He does like the thing that's got him, like Yanni, he's got the majestical shit with the hair and the mustache.
And
he
the
can
Greek
play.
vibe too. He's got that Greek like hummus vibe, Steve. He's gonna give you a hummus.
Uncle Jesse's uncle.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I just never really understood. I like when we grew up, Yanni had greatest of like CDs coming out on TV, but I never understood what the vibe of it was. Like, it's just like grandma just finger blast music, I guess.
Is it the grandparents? Like that's another thing I never understood. Like, who are your people? Like, what is your base? Because I don't know anybody. Like, whenever I was at a friend's house, you look through their CD collection. Never seen Yanni.
Yeah,
Never.
but he
And,
was
like,
so famous. Like, what? Maybe it was how ridiculous he looked. Like that became like a commonplace joke. But hey, the guy's getting paid, getting laid, and again, he's gonna make you a stuffed grape leaf and a hummus that's gonna knock your dick in the dirt, Steve. So shout out to Yanni.
Beavis thought he was Geraldo. Oh, Geraldo. Oh no, this is Yanni. This guy's
Yanni,
the biggest-
yeah, but it's like that's your dad.
No, it's not.
And in the video, like Yanni's sad because a woman's leaving him, and somebody's like, she's leaving because he sucks.
This guy's the biggest butthole I've ever seen in my life. And then he turns up the volume. Wait a minute. I think it's about The Rock.
Yeah, and Beavis like, turn it off, dude. Turn it off. He's getting pissed off. And I mean, more than a minute of Yanni as a man, I can't take it. But I bet, again, I don't know what the vibe is. Like if it's like Greek women or there's like a specific sect. But this guy's doing some to somebody, Steven. They're loving it. So shout out.
Maybe he's hitting it in Europe. Maybe that's his fan base. And Beavis eventually takes a deuce daily. And he's feeling good, feeling fresh and so clean.
This happened to me once at a sleepover, Steve. I had actually told this to Kendra, and I just think it's funny because it's sort of related to this. Where when I was like in junior, we might have even known each other, but junior high, Matt's having some stomach issues, so he had to get a stomach x-ray. So in the 90s, what that entailed was drinking this chalky substance so they could see your insides, I guess. And the doctor told me when I got it done that you have to drink water after you do this. If you do not drink water, you're going to get backed up. It's going to be a problem. So me thinking like Beavis, I'm like, you know what? Fuck this guy, whatever. I go about my business that day, go to a sleepover that night, didn't drink any water. And at a sleepover with some of our friends that you might remember, like my friend Hans, the Anderson Brungards of the groups, those people, whatever time this was, we're having a sleepover. I disappear for hours on end at the sleepover, Steve, pushing out what I can only call a Campbell's soup can sized turd because of this. And it was the most traumatic experience I ever had at a sleepover because I was in the bathroom of a sleepover, people checking on me to see if I'm okay, just like here where Butthead's like, are you okay, dude? Like, and I'm in there sweating like I'm about to get like convicted of murder because I am pushing out a soup can piece of shit. And I did that.
Dropping
I
off
gave
Cabbage
birth,
Patch
Steve.
Kids.
A butt
Yeah.
baby. I did it. And
Taking
it's
the Browns to the
terrifying.
Super Bowl.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So just a word to the wise, if you get a stomach x-ray and you drink barium, listen to the doctor and drink water, because if you don't, you're going to give birth to something that you can't it's not a positive experience. Let's put it that way.
Real American heroes.
The more you know.
Yeah. You're welcome. But Beavis comes out and just like me at that sleepover, he's like, yeah, hey, I can finally relax now. And he just settles in. He's ready to go. He's not pregnant anymore. He's nothing to worry about.
And they're watching Good Morning America now. And I guess it's supposed to be Bryant Gumbel. And he makes this little joke about, somebody with the weather. Will it be the weather or not, or some shit? I don't know. Anyways, Butthead's just like, these guys are stupid. They think they're funny when they're really just stupid. Yeah, it's like when you think you're pregnant, but you really just need to take a dump.
Yes, it is, Beavis. Yes, it is. And then we go to the third music video, which Dinosaur JP, I don't think so. Correct, Steve?
Dinosaur Jr.
Okay, my bad. I couldn't read because I was watching it on the phone. But this is a trippy music video. And I don't know where they got the puppets or the Henson weird adult puppetry that we saw, but some fat old titties on that one puppet, Steve.
Yeah. Oh, is this Sesame Street? Oh yeah, that looks like Grover. You probably watched Sesame Street. I used to when I was little.
Your grandma's a slut.
Yeah. Yeah. And
but thank you for giving me the link to this. Shame on Paramount Plus again, because you can't watch this episode on it. So what's going on?
Never seen a puppet with hooters like that. They probably have this trick on the show that teach kids the number 2.
Some fat knots on that, Steve. But it was I've never heard of that band, and I was sitting there like, how'd they get the money to make this crazy music video for a band that I have never heard of at all? Like, I've never heard of that fucking song.
You haven't heard of that song, but they have songs that they used to play on Kiss FM back in the day in Toledo, man. And I'm sure if I find them, I'll send you the links, man. I want to say they're kind of like Faith No More. Nah. It's like that early 90s, like the people who inspired Nirvana kind of deal, like Sonic Youth-ish, maybe.
Okay.
Influence.
I could see that. I didn't like Sonic Youth, and this was not my vibe of music, but it was a weird, pretty cool fucking video for, like I said, a band I never heard of. So,
but on yes, sir. But on June 8th, 1997, King of the Ring 97 is airing through pay-per-view. It's WWF's brainchild. And this time around, we got Hunter Hearst Helmsley as the King of the Ring.
Yes. Is China there?
China's definitely there, man. We got Undertaker there. He's still champ from when he won in WrestleMania 13 earlier that year, and he's going up against Farouk. Farouk still has his posse, and this is when Ahmed Johnson, when he joins the Nation.
Okay. I mean, dude, that guy is it's just, again, crazy that he sucks at wrestling and he looks like the greatest wrestler of all time. But look at Savio Vega there. This is everybody.
That's actually Kama.
Is it?
Yeah, that's the Kama, Mustafa, eventually the Godfather. So they're slowly getting everything together. Eventually Ahmed will get kicked out and they'll start that rivalry. And one of the matches, LOD, they team up with our guy Sid. And once they start, LOD started talking.
Oh my God, what a terrifying locker room, Steve.
Terrifying locker room indeed. But what is funny about this ordeal is that Sid, when LOD starts talking, you can see Sid practicing what he's mouthing it. He's saying, and he's reading their lips. So he's just you could just tell he's doing this routine. It's playing out in front of you. Bless you.
He was always
Sid.
Don't fuck this up, Sid. You got this. You got this.
Yes.
So fucking funny, dude. You know, Tugboat was like that too. Like anytime he had to do an entrance, he's like, "I'm not gonna trip. I'm not gonna trip."
Dude, one of the YouTube accounts I follow, man, they do a top 10, top 5, and recently they did like worst mic workers of all time. And believe it, you can believe it, Sid was on there, man. It's kind of like how elephants are very like scary and they're huge and everything, but you put a little mouse in front of them and they're like, oh shit. Sid is kind of the same way with a microphone. Like, oh my god, this big fucking yoked up dude will powerbomb the fuck out of me. Oh, put a microphone. Oh shit.
You have to walk out in front of an arena full of people, half naked. Okay. Public speak though. You got to do a little public speaking first. Like, no, no,
Mommy.
mommy.
But the entertaining match with HBK and Stone Cold, it would go into a disqualification. And I forget about this era when Stone Cold and HBK were actually tag team champs, but they had this butting of heads because of who they are. HBK, he's King Dingaling around this time, and Stone Cold, he don't trust nobody. But they got the tag team champs, and they go into this match, and it's like, dude, we're just doing this because like we got to. And Stone Cold's thing is like, if I got a belt on me, that'll just raise my price. I don't give a damn what kind of belt it is, and I don't care who my tag teammate is. I got a belt, I got a bigger paycheck. So
I don't give a damn if you're wearing some damn chainmail sex smash when you come out, as long as I got the damn strap.
You're a sexy boy. But on June 8, 1998, Forgive and Forget debuts. And I remember this in syndication because the original host, you might recognize her. And she is our friend Agnes from the pawn shop. And the lady, mommy, that Agnes.
What you got? What you
Ain't
got other
nothing
than
going
that
on but
little
the
nice
rig.
little behind of yours? Damn. Let me get a little taste.
And she was the host from 98 to 2000. And then eventually it would be taken over by Robin Givens. And, say what you want about Robin Givens, but she'd always be fine to me. I know you put Mike through hell, but you're good to look at.
Yeah.
And
what was this? Was this a fucking like a talk show? Was this like a Maury sitch or what was going on here?
it was a tabloid talk show, which at the time it was a popular subgenre. And everybody was trying to get into that talk show game. And the show consisted of 3 segments. At the beginning segment, a guest told their side of the story to be the host. Most often, the guest was someone who had done something to hurt a relative or a friend, in which case the guest hoped the other person would offer forgiveness. Sometimes the guest was the one wronged by someone else and wanted an apology from the second person. And occasionally, the other person was interviewed during the segment via closed circuit television, during which time the host usually tried to help the 2 sides come to a resolution.
Okay, so they're just getting into some conflict resolution, like a la Maury. Looks very much like Maury, looking at it behind you.
Ricky Lake, Sally.
Like whatever, there's a little bit of a cutoff, but there's somebody in a red outfit in the background of your photo that looks like Kool-Aid sitting there. But
oh yeah.
I mean, this one I don't remember. There was a lot of this type of show, but this one I don't remember. But I mean, forgive and forget, Steve. Forgive me for not remembering.
Yeah, and the lady, Mother Love, that's her stage name, and she's actually from Cleveland, Ohio. And now it makes sense. That's why the lady frightened me, Matt. And Cleveland women crazy.
Mother Love. Forgive and forget. Well, I forgot. Forgive me. So thank you.
All right. And in 1999, June 8th, Smash Mouth released Astro Lounge. And yes, this is the album with the one. That one.
Guy Fieri killing it.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna blow me.
Yeah, a lot of that. I can't for the life of me remember what I thought of this band when they were coming out. I feel like I thought they were cheesy, but they were so put in so much shit, like all those high school movies. There was a scene where it opened with this playing. you know. So I love Guy Fieri, and I know that this guy is not Guy Fieri, but he looks a lot like him, and it might still be him, and Guy's not fessing up, but
And the other song, like it's that one, the All Star, and also Walking in the Sun. But that wasn't on this album. I just remember that song being used in movies because I with Smash Mouth, I get the vibe of like Austin Powers. If I'm not mistaken, they might have been on one of the soundtracks for Austin Powers. Like they make that
probably.
kind of music, like that Munsters kind of.
It's music
Like,
that's meant. It's like commercial, like what you. I don't even want to call it rock. It's like pop music, but it's like music that's meant to be used in a movie or a trailer, like whatever you want to call that.
but with a throwback vibe. Like because
Yeah.
I feel like they would be used in a Austin Powers, which had like a retro vibe, and same thing with Sandlot, maybe. But Sandlot predates Smash Mouth, but I feel like one of their songs could have been on Sandlot,
It
like
was the
that.
trumpet and shit, probably. Like they incorporated instruments and stuff that you weren't used to, but I don't know. It was just like, for whatever reason, I guess I was just into the hard shit, Steve. I wanted to listen to Korn talk about Adidas and shit and Fred Durst, not this guy and his cheesy goatee.
For what it's worth, they do have this track that's stonerific at the end. It's called Home, and hard pass. I'm sorry. I won't send you the link, man.
Steve,
That look means business. But
yes.
1999 also, Red Hot Chili Peppers released Californication because yang 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 yang.
What were the tracks? Go through all the tracks for me again, Steve. What were the bangers on this one?
Scar tissue that I wish you saw. Miss Mountain, mouth to lick your heart and kiss your feel. And then Californication, Dream of Californication, Dream of Californication. And this is the one where John Frusciante returns, man. I love Dave Navarro. He was badass, man, for Jane's Addiction. But when he met up with Red Hot Chili Peppers, to me, and like a lot of Pepper fans, man, it was like oil and water for one hot minute. That luckily that was only one time project, but John Frusciante, it's only fitting, man. Like if it's not John, I'm not really interested because John, that was Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Give it away now. That's Under the Bridge. That's fucking that's the sound.
Ring ding dong dong ding ding dong dong ding ding. John Frusciante. Sounds it's just it's a I what who is he?
He was the replacement for Hillel. Like their original guitarist, that's the guy that died from a heroin overdose.
Oh yeah. Okay, my bad.
In the 80s. And so like in comes John Frusciante, who was a younger than the other guys. And he was the guy that started in Mother's Milk was his first one. And then the breakout was Blood Sugar Sex Magic. And after that one, that is when he took a break, left the band. They brought in Dave Navarro in 94, 95 for one hot minute. Then he left, and then they brought John Frusciante back in 99 for this. And like they're older now, and it's a more mature sound, but you still get that funk, that flea bouncing up and down, cocksock. You just can't beat it, man.
Anytime, if you're a guy whose name is synonymous with cocksock, you're killing it. So,
and that same day in 99, Ministry releases Dark Side of the Spoon. And I remember the album cover for obvious reasons. It definitely stands out. And Ministry, they've been in plain sight, hiding in plain sight throughout their existence, man, because I know you're a fan of Rob Zombie, but these guys inspired Rob Zombie, and they don't get enough props, man, because we talked about their album before in the early 90s, but this one, it's you could just hear the influence that Rob Zombie got from this group.
Damn, I love that. I mean, it's a name I've heard a lot. They're very famous, but yeah, I never caught wind of them. And man, it's a wild fucking cover for an album too. But
wild title, Dark Side of the Spoon.
Oh yeah,
that's
damn.
I like it.
Little, but Rob Zombie-ish. I like that.
Yeah, it's with some Nine Inch Nails because it's really one guy, Al Jurgensen, and it's kind of like the whole who's the Trent Reznor, where it's supposed to be Nine Inch Nails, but you might as well call it Trent Reznor.
Yeah.
Same thing with Ministry. It's Al Jurgensen, and it amazes me how some of these guys can do like multi-instrument groups.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Like they do it all, and then I need guys to play this live, but I did it
Ex-
all.
Exactly, man. And also in 99, Def Leppard releases Euphoria. And I remember when this came out because I was watching VH1 at the time when they still played videos. And VH1, they like were kinder to the 80s acts if they were still around. I remember, they kind of gave them an outlet where, people were focused on MTV with Fred Durst and Korn and all of that stuff. It's like VH1, hey, we still care about you guys. And
Hey,
so
old
Euphoria,
people, watch us.
yeah. And it made sense because they would do the behind the music, and they had an episode around the time this album was released. And I listened to it. It sounds like they're trying to recapture their glory days, which wasn't going to work in 99. But
Yeah.
I appreciate the honesty of it, is because we're not trying to keep up. We're not going to do new metal for you guys. We're not going to do grunge. We're going to do like what we're famous for, that kind of 80s across the pond rock. And hey, there's some tracks I actually added to the playlist. So shout out to
Wow.
Def
Okay.
Leppard
They're stayed
with the
in
one
their
arm.
lane, but shout out to people that realize they need to stay in their lane. Because if they tried doing some fucking new metal, that would have been hilarious.
Yeah, and embarrassing for him.
Yeah.
But any callbacks, honorable mentions, or takeaways, sir?
Well, I was gonna shit on Paramount Plus, and I did have something else to talk about, Steve, but I fucking forgot it because I'm high.
Marijuana affects the memory.
So shout out to weed. My call out's weed. Thank you.
Paramount Plus, thank you for Clarissa and the Nickelodeon stuff, but you're too wonky, and you need to make it easier for us to navigate.
Well, they
Like, it
had
makes no
fucking like
sense.
season 5, it was like episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, 20, 50. It was like, come on, guys. Why are you so, is it just too hard to load all these fucking things?
Hell is
But
wrong with y'all.
you know what helps, Steve? Having a friend like you send a link so you can watch the episode.
These are
You're the
tears
best.
flying up my face.
What about you, Steve? After you wipe those tears away.
In 98, we're in Nitro, and they're at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Now, just in June 7th, the day before, the Bulls beat the Utah Jazz 96-54, blew them the fuck out in Chicago. So June 8th, 1998, Rodzilla appears, and he's with Hogan, Bischoff, and Bret Hart, and they're sitting at the couch surrounded by some floozies, and Hogan's like, this is what skipping practice is worth, huh? Or he said something like this is worth skipping practice, isn't it, Rodzilla? And he's smoking a big stogie, and I would love to be a fly on the wall, man. You got, Eric Bischoff, Rob Lowe, older brother looking motherfucker. You got Brett, fucking Canadian Ledge. You got the holster, and you got Rodzilla smoking a stogie, just 2 games away from winning his 5th championship.
Full power
Because
Rodman. Like, that's Rodman at the height.
yeah, dude. And just 2 days later, he gets 14 boards in the next game because the series wasn't over. They were up 2-1 on that night, June 8th. And then, like, the next day in Chicago, which I don't know if that was the scheduling on WCW's part to make that work. The fact that they were in Palace of Auburn Hills in Michigan and around the time the Bulls are in Chicago. But either way, it worked for all parties. Hogan's got the belt, and Rodman wins another ring. And at the end, they all jump DDP. They beat him with tape with the chair. Because we don't see Rodman throughout this episode. We see him in the beginning, and then like people are talking about him, whatever. And then he pops up at the end when DDP is about to make his announcement of is he white and black or is he red and black? Because this is around the time.
Shit.
Yeah, and he's like, well, I never thought I'd do this, but and then right before he does it, fucking they beat him with the chair, man. And Bobby Heenan's doing the commentary. then as they're talking about Diamond Ellis Page, he says he's got more video equipment than Bob Crane. And I don't know if anyone else would got, like, I feel like that's only, you have to be a pop culture nerd to really get that reference, man.
I mean, autofocus wasn't out because the only reason I know about that is because of that weird ass fucking movie. So,
with I can't even call his name, the guy that played Bob Crane.
Greg something Kinnear.
Greg Kinnear. And who was it that somebody was calling Rodman out and they said, "Hey Rodman, you get any mail lately?" And that's Roddy Piper, that's who said that. Papa Pump joins NWO. A lot happened on this episode. Yeah, man. And Goldberg, he becomes 99-0 after beating Chavo Guerrero in like a minute and 20 seconds. So meanwhile, while that's going on in TNT, WWF Raw, we got Val Venus versus Dustin Runnels, because he's dropped his Goldust gimmick at this time and he's just like in black clothes. He's pissed off, whatever. And Big Val had this to say: "Dennis Rodman and I have a lot in common. You know, they call us both the Worm. The only difference is he dominates the boards while I dominate the broads." Ugh.
That's wordplay, Steve. Whoever wrote that, that's a wordsmith.
Hello, ladies. Well, yeah, man. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Please tell your sister that I know it's you. Check out Crushgasm every Wednesday. B3F Podcast with Joey and Steve. And Don't Worry, B Movie with Amanda and Wade. This is Steve G and Matt G with Happened in the 90s.
Honey, did you find the remote?